bees already swarmed. I was afraid it swarmed because it did. It's not as many bees as it was before.
What does that mean if it swarms?
It reproduces itself. The queen leaves with over half the bees, and they go look for another home. In the meantime, the bees left behind are creating a new queen. Bees have the ability to recreate a reproductive, which is the queen.
How do you initially get the bees to come to the hive? Do you bring?
You actually buy them.
Oh, you do? Okay.
There's a whole, until you become a beekeeper, you have no idea there's a whole, like, economy around bees. Mostly around pollination.
And how many do you need to get going to start a hive?
Well, you usually start with what's called a 3-pound package, which is about, probably about 10,000 bees and a queen.
Now to bring it back.
I'll just make sure that there's room, see if they have a new queen or not. If they do or not.
And how do you know where the queen is, where she's located?
I'll look for her. She's different looking.
Huh.
So think about a sedan versus a limousine. And the limousine is the queen. The sedan is the workers. Constantly laying eggs.
Yeah.
She's nothing more than an egg-laying machine.
Can you stay over here to see all the bees?
Yeah, this is empty. They've swarmed.
And do you resell the honey, or is it just for personal use?
Sell it, although I haven't figured out how to sell it over here. I've got to probably start with this. I have a non-profit called San Francisco Bee Cause. And so we have hives at various locations, and our whole purpose is to use urban beekeeping, selling the honey to then fund projects that would benefit sort of urban agriculture, people, and bees. And we just finished our first year, and what we're doing with the money that we raised from last year is we're going to fund a graduate student at San Francisco State to develop a database for us on what is currently known about San Francisco's native bees, because there have been various studies over the years, but there's no central place for you or I to, as a member of the public, to look that up. Like if you wanted to support native bees growing in your yard, then you could look and see what types of native bees have been observed in San Francisco at some point in time, what their nesting needs are and what their floral needs are. Because bees just eat nectar and pollen from flowers. They don't care about it.
And is this looking for the queen now?
I don't really need to look for the queen. I just look for signs that she's been here.
What are the signs of the
eggs?
Eggs. Oh. And I don't know, how long do bees live for?
Individuals only live for about 6 weeks this time of year. And they just come to the end of their life. But the queen lives for about, anywhere from 6 months to a few years.
Stuns them?
No, smoke just sort of distracts them. There's 2 theories about how smoke works. One is when bees get upset, like probably now, you need to make sure if the bees start going near you, you move away.
Right.
They emit an alarm pheromone, and so the smoke acts by interfering with that alarm pheromone. And then the other theory is that...
So do they eat their own product?
Oh, absolutely. Honey is their food, yep. The nectar and pollen is their food source. They dehydrate the nectar to become honey, and that's how they store it for the rainy days, so to speak. But they're programmed to make far more than they ever need. At least in this climate. In a colder climate, perhaps not. Well, yeah. And then, of course, the landscape can only support so much wildlife, You got too many bees in an area, it's not going to produce that bees, but San Francisco is probably the most liberal major U.S. city in terms of beekeeping. It's totally legal and it's unregulated.
Oh.
Most cities regulated, or they outlawed.
What would be the reason for outlaw? Just for...
People are afraid of swarms, afraid of getting stung. But San Francisco's health code says, excludes the honey-producing bee as one of the many inherently dangerous alligators, and there's all sorts of regulations, especially in a densely populated land. They're under a lot of evolutionary stress, a lot of diseases brought into the country with the world economy, the global economy. There's the varroa mite that you may have read about in some articles about CCD. no, it's a mite. So there's like that. So I call it a bee tick. So all the things that we think about ticks and how they can impair our health by spreading viruses and bacteria, that's the same thing with this mite. It spreads viruses and bacteria on bees that they never had before. And that mites right now, they're having to deal with diseases that they never had to deal with in this country. So, you know, survival of the fittest. So, you know, your bees usually die. Or you have to do something to help them fight the mites, which means, you know, chemicals and stuff. And a lot of people don't want to put that in the hive. So. It's really pissy.
Probably met them.